Hello and welcome to the first day to rule them all. It's Saturday the 17th and I've started reading Muse of Nightmares, so the second book in the Strange for the Dreamer duology. I'm 14% in, something like that, reading it on my phone, my Kindle, switching back and forth. But now, it's Saturday, I gotta do some cleaning. I'm going to listen to the Book Riot's SFF Gear podcast to get me into the fantasy spirit, and check into it with you later, see what I get up to and get to reading. Hey, it's day 2, Sunday, and Bart and I are about to get stuck into a serious session of Heroes of Might and Magic 4. Anyone remember that? It's a really old game and we're super obsessed with it. So it's got fantasy in it, it's got no reading, but it's a lot of fun. So we're gonna have breakfast, start a new campaign, and then I read Saga, the 4th Saga comic yesterday evening, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It's a really cool series. I don't tend to read graphic novels or comics or anything, but I have this on loan by a friend, and it's so cool, like super wacky, crazy creatures, planets, everything, super out there, but really like real life problems at the same time, especially in the 4th book. So I really do recommend that. But as the intensity of the music in the background increases, it's calling to me. So I'll see you guys later. Good morning, it's the 3rd day of the one readathon to rule them all. Monday morning, always a challenge. And I've been not very dedicated so far to the readathon, I must admit, even though I really like fantasy. I've been busy at the weekend. Yesterday, we got sucked into playing computer games, and then we spent the entire afternoon, our friends of ours, playing Dungeons and Dragons together. So I've been reading Muse of Nightmares in between. I'm 32% in because it's just a really quick read, so a third down, just with like catching minutes in between reading that book. I'm not enjoying it as much as Strange for the Dreamer. I'm finding the emotions more pubescent than I did in the first book, just a bit lack of nuance so far. So I'm not loving that, and I've also been having so many difficulties getting into the readathon this time around because I was previously really amped up for nonfiction November, which of course is still going on. I yesterday finished Proust and the Squid, which is a nonfiction book about how mankind invented script and how we learned to read, and the brain developing with our literacy gaining traction as well, I guess. And I also didn't really like that. So I've just not really had a book that I've really loved. I'm going to stray away from nonfiction November a little bit, not just because of the one readathon to rule them all, but also because I'm unexpectedly going away for 1.5 weeks in 3 days, on Thursday. And I don't want to be lugging my nonfiction books around with me. I'm only taking my Kindle because I'll be on the train with my dog, going back and forth quite a few places, and I don't want to have a lot of luggage. That's why I'm switching to fantasy books, because I don't tend to buy loads of those anyway. I like reading those on my Kindle. They're chunky books quite often. So I'm going into this readathon very unprepared. I still have to think about what I'm going to read. Obviously, I'm going to finish Muse of Nightmares first, before I actually think about that question. Now I'm just mumbling. I'm postponing my Monday starting. I've been out with the dog, I've showered, I am ready for this day. Now I'm gonna do the really bad thing of eating breakfast in front of my laptop whilst I'm doing some research. I'll talk to you later, guys. Good morning, I hope you're enjoying day 4 of the readathon. I'm just walking home from the gym. It's really grey, I'm super winded, glamorous. I'm 2/3 into Muse of Nightmare. And not loving it. I'm going to finish it because it's a quick read. And it's sort of enjoyable. I guess it's enjoyable. The characters seem so much more flat, even though it's the second book in a duology, which seems weird because you know all these characters already. The characters you don't know yet, and you're only getting to know, those are the interesting ones. Seems a bit weird. So I'm walking home now. Still out of breath. Gonna have a cup of tea, second breakfast, small breakfast, and get my day started. Hey, it's the late afternoon of Wednesday, so what's that, day 5 of the One Readathon to rule them all? And I just finished Muse of Nightmares, which disappointed me. Sad to say, it was equally fast-paced and easy to read compared to Strange the Dreamer. That really pulled me in at the time when I read that. So I am quite disappointed now. I found the characters far less fleshed out, which I thought was really weird. It being the second book in the duology, we kind of know and love the characters already. I also always found all the sort of solutions to the problems really obvious and kind of a bit too neat. And above all, I felt like Laini Taylor, the author, was sort of just setting up other stories that she wanted to tell, and almost like she lost interest a little bit in the characters that she'd taken so much time introducing us to in Strange the Dreamer. So I'm happy I read it because it would have stayed in the back of my mind, but yeah, now I did read it very quickly, which is almost a little silly because I bought that on Kindle because tomorrow I'm leaving home I'm going to be away for 1.5 weeks, which is unexpected in this Readathon. So I was thinking, I can have that on my Kindle and read it on the train, and now I have to look for new books that I can take on my Kindle because I don't really have luggage space to take many books. I'm thinking maybe the 5th season, which is the first in a trilogy, which I've forgotten how it's called, by N.K. Jemisin, which a lot of people seem to really like. I'm also thinking of taking a really bit of a weird one, Orlando by Virginia Woolf. Not really fantasy, but with a bit of a stretch, I think you could claim it's fantasy, and it's like a classic that I've wanted to read for quite a while. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of online book shopping now, I think. Try to make a good selection so that I won't be out on the dry with my travels and not have any books accessible to me. Yeah, see how it goes. Hey, it's 4 in the afternoon and I am in Berlin at my friend's place. The dog is very tired from the tour, and I'm reading Orlando by Virginia Woolf, which so far isn't really a fantasy yet. We'll see how that goes. Waiting for my friend to come home. So tired. Hey, it's Saturday, which I think makes it day 8. It's afternoon now and I'm at my dad's place. It's a bit eventful. I'm also 60% into Orlando by Virginia Woolf, which I thought I was being all quirky and doing like an unusual choice with choosing that for like a fantasy readathon, but it doesn't qualify as fantasy, not at all. I'm 60% in. I'm finding it a really slow read. I feel like I want to finish it because I've never read anything by Virginia Woolf. I'm tempted by the feminist ideas that are touched upon in the book, but it's just really dragged out and slow. So I'm kind of getting bored by it. I'm really disappointed, actually. So yeah, 60% now. I think I should finish it, if not today, then tomorrow. And then I'm gonna pick up something a bit more fast-paced for the last week of the One Readathon to rule them all. Hey, it's Monday, sort of early afternoon, and I think that makes it day 10 of the Readathon. I finished Orlando yesterday. I didn't check in with you because it was Sunday, I forgot. I'm visiting with my family. And Orlando on Paper by Virginia Woolf, published 1928, should have been really interesting. It's about Orlando, who is born a man, spends the first 30 years of his life living as a man, and then falls into a deep slumber and spends the remaining life then as a woman. And also, just a side note, lives for more than 300 years. And all these aspects should have qualified for a fantasy novel, but it really didn't have the feel of it. I also just again and again found myself feeling like this book is destined to be picked apart by literature students, and I'm not one of those, and I don't get the enjoyment of discussing all the clever choices Virginia Woolf made in how she put together her chapters, and that there is a point to it being long-winded, in my opinion, even though it's not a very long book. I really didn't love it. I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, I think, but that is mainly because I did find ideas in the book interesting. The reading experience, though, wasn't very enjoyable. Then just tonight in bed, I read the first 40 pages of The Torch and the Night, I believe, which is the second book in the first book was called An Ember in the Ashes, book by, is it Sabatahir? I'll look that up. And immediately, even though I only read the first 40 pages, super fast read, really fast paced, enjoyable. I really enjoyed the first book, and I'm just picking back up and right back in here. I found that even though I read the first book maybe a year ago or so, I'm surprised by how much I still remember. So I think that'll be fun. I'm also getting slightly sidetracked because I yesterday picked up H is for Hawk, which I wanted to read and my dad had lying around. I read the first 60 pages or so of this and I'm really enjoying it. Not fantasy at all, non-fiction about a woman dealing with her grief by deciding to buy a goshawk and rear it and train it. I guess the author also mentions elements of T.H. White's biography, so by a stretch that is about someone who wrote about fantasy related stuff, because he wrote the Once and what's that book called? The Once and Future King, something like that, like the Arthur myth story, whatever, the sort of knights, Camelot, all that stuff. It's been a very long time that I read those stories as a child. Getting sidetracked. So he also writes about that. Still doesn't qualify as a fantasy read. Still reading it, even though I was going to focus on fantasy because it's a really good book so far. So, plan is to finish that this week because I'm leaving end of the week and I don't want to, steal my dad's book. Also, I have absolutely no space left in my luggage, my rucksack, and read The Torch of the Night. Hey guys, it's about noon on Wednesday, which I think makes it day 12 of the one readathon to rule them all. I'm still reading the second book in the Sabatahir series, A Torch in the Night, something like that. And I'm liking it, even though I've not gotten that far. I'm 15-70% in, something like that. It's a quick read, but I'm reading it before bed, so I end up falling asleep. I'm liking the character of, is it Helen or Helena or something like that the most, which fits. I also thought she was the coolest in the Ember in the Ashes. Yeah, in the first book, I also liked her the best. Also still reading H is for Hawk, which isn't a fantasy book, but I'm wanting to read that and finish that this week because I'm leaving on Friday for my dad's. I don't want to have to take it with me. I'm out with the dogs at the moment. There's one of them. And enjoying my time in the countryside as long as it still lasts. I'll check in with you later, guys. It's in the afternoon on Friday. Does that make it the final day or is tomorrow the final day? I should check. I didn't check it with you yesterday. I did finish H is for Hawk, however, so I didn't have to take that to Berlin when I left my dad's. It was excellent. A very sad book, a very heartfelt book, bursting at the seams with hidden optimism and a bit of obsession with wildlife. I thoroughly recommend it. Doesn't have much to do with fantasy, however, so it is ill-advised to read it during a fantasy readathon. I've pushed on in The Torch Against the Night. I keep on forgetting the title of that book. Really enjoying it. 60% is something like that. Really quick read. It is sort of quite YA-ish. I'm curious to see whether some of the things I am predicting will in fact happen. I'll be a bit disappointed if it is quite so streamlined, I must admit, but I'm enjoying the characters nevertheless. I'm at my friend's place. Feels really weird. She hasn't got here. She has to work late. I got her key from the neighbour, so I'm just gonna have a tea, drink her tea, and wait for her. And maybe cuddle her cats a bit and read a bit more. I'm home, it's Monday, I'm so tired. I had a lot of travelling to do this weekend to get me home, even though it should have been straightforward. I finished A Torch Against the Night on Sunday. So not officially on the one readathon to rule them all, but I had like 20 more pages to read on Sunday, so does it count, does it count? Let's count it. It's a really fun adventure book, a sort of, fantasy road trip book almost. But I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars because there were a few things that I could see coming, and they then did happen, and the glitches and bumps along the way were also at some point almost a little annoying. I almost feel like the book could have been like 50 pages less, and cut out some of the oh but then this happened, oh no but oh solved it anyway. That made it a little bit long-winded, but I love the characters. I'm really happy that the third book is out already, so I can continue reading without having to wait. I like reading series the best when that is the case. So yeah, it's Monday, I'm tired. Me and my dog are back home. I think she is just going to sleep the whole day because she had the whole week playing with my dad's dogs. He has a Border Terrier and a Great Dane. So that made for interesting playing these 3 very different dogs in size and weight, trying to figure out how to play and get along with each other. So that was quite fun to watch. So I hope you had a really great readathon yourself. I did sway from the fantasy prompts a little bit, but I got to Mordor, so whatevs. And happy reading.